Ready?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Forsaken Council Open Mic. It is BP time with me, your host, Liam99. And that's the new catchphrase for TFC. So, guys, how are you all?
I'm about to
I'm doing okay.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
I vehemently oppose the marketing team.
They've let him out of the cage. He's back from the zoo. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, TSM.
Yeah, whatever.
You should actually change your base name to the man, the myth, the legend. I really think you should.
Do you want to sail those ships around? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, everyone be coming to smash your base and be like, video so much for a legend.
That happens anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, welcome back, mate. It's been very sad since you've been away, but we are
going on.
But we managed to pull through. But welcome home. So, guys, BP, what's been going on? Is everyone happy this week?
I'd be a little happier if I could actually do the re-release of Forever.
Forever.
The time-limited campaign, yeah.
The gluttony one.
I'm
more interested in the Venom Spitter, but yeah.
The Venom Spitter, all right, yeah. Well, is that even a good turret, though? Wasn't it? It wasn't working for a bit. I know they fixed something with it, but
in theory, it was.
Yeah, I mean they changed the they put a Holoc Alpha in there. They did a bunch of stuff.
The throwers.
They've changed some stuff. I mean, before you could do it with tier 5 stuff. Now, not so much. If you have one Pride and some Oppressors or Vendettas, Zoe Vendetta, I guess, you can pull it off. Pride and some Liberators. I mean, it's become a, you need a Pride to be able to pull it off.
And you need
without coining it.
armor.
Yeah, the Rad 4 armors are given.
You know, I started that with the fleet that I had, and I couldn't get anywhere with the stupid thing. I had 2 Prides, and I just got frustrated. And then Ren put up another one with the build attached, and I just changed, I think, 1 or 2 specials, and I think I put a pen plate on it. And it turned out to be, I'm going to use the word simple, but a lot easier, and actually finish the stupid thing. So I went from acting like crazy one day to being able to do it. It turned out to be, I'm going to use the word simple.
Okay.
So if you look at, if you got Prides and you can't do it, and look at Ren's video, you'll be able to.
Yeah, Ren put a couple of videos up. I haven't actually had a chance to catch him yet.
The second one that he put up.
Is that the one where he uses Vendettas?
No, I think that's the one where he uses the Pride and something. The first one he tried it with tier 5 hulls and ended up being, I think, like 20 coins.
Yeah, I got it right here.
To be able to pull through prize pack 1.
I tried it with a spite with 3 Rad 4 plates on it, and the throwers melted the spite before it even got it into range.
All right. Well, I'm sure Mark's got some hot tips on how to do the campaign.
Yeah, he used Vendettas and Prides.
Mark, what method did you use?
So I haven't done the campaign. However, I have seen a video where basically somebody ran a Pride straight through past the guard, killed out all the turrets, that sort of stuff, and then basically used a set of Vendettas on the outside with a spotter of some description. I think it was another Liberator. That was it. Yeah, I've even forgot the name of the ships. I've been away 2 weeks. I can't remember what's what.
Man, you must be driving like. Man, you must be driving like Liam now.
I don't know about that.
That's how I managed to do it, Mark. Just go in and kill out the base, and then come back in with the chuckers.
I heard that you guys, I think on Tuesday, were talking about using gluttonies to prep as well. Is that still a thing? No.
I didn't need the glut. I didn't need the glut at all. I mean, I have 4 of them built to prep bases and stuff, and you can, yeah, I guess you can use it, but you don't really need to if you have one good pride and like a liberator and an oppressor or 2, you're fine.
Okay, interesting.
I used 2. I had 4 gluts built, and I used them to prep out the fleets and pride to kill everything. But they were mostly just heal bots.
But it's a TLC to get the gluttony. I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose.
I'm a lazy bastard, and I'm here to admit it.
Well, you've got to use the tools available to you, haven't you? I mean, if you've got the gluttonies, then fair shout. But yeah, it is a campaign to win the gluttony, so it would be a bit of a waste if you needed gluttonies to succeed.
In theory, you could have used Hell Rouse in it.
No, you couldn't. It was Conqueror.
No, it's Conqueror only for the first
that's
2
right.
waves.
That seems like a weird thing to do.
Well, and the Forsaken Mission content drop. Has anyone tried out some of the tech this week? George?
That sound.
So the mortar and the rocket are both the best in game now, I guess, for at least for PvE that we're looking at, and I like them. The specials, I have no idea why they have that rocket special in there, because there's nothing that we're going to use with those icebreakers that's going to require it. What was the other one? The one that had the balls inside the bullet or whatever the hell it was. I can't remember what that one was.
The napalm detonators.
Splash, explosive damage, and fire fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that. I'm not giving up anything to use that on my build. I mean, honestly, and it doesn't work with rocket.
Excuse me for 1 second, all right?
You son of a bitch.
and it's because the new.
Sorry, you were saying, Brian.
And also the new specials stack very strangely in ways with old specials. I think it was determined that the thing we were just talking about that makes the fire fields, it gives you splash and explosive damage, but for some reason they won't let that stack with high velocity rounds, even though they share 0 stats. Like there's no splash and no explosive damage on HVR, and none of HVR stats are on the other special. So that's another thing that you might not want as well. If you like projectile speed, or if you don't want to give up a certain special, you might have to pass on these new ones because they don't fit with what you want in a build.
There's something else I noticed about the precision napalm detonators. They don't stack with siege targeting either. They don't share any stats, but you can't use siege targeting with the precision napalm detonators.
Fantastic.
Sorry, guys. I had someone run my house phone there. I don't know what that was. No.
So, yeah, I mean, some of them I'm not entirely sure why we got. The weapons, though, are... I mean, I'm refitting my monoliths now with the new mortars. You know, I'm going to refit my icebreakers with the new rocket. I'm, you know, part of me is like, oh, I'm psyched. I got new stuff that's nice, shiny, and deadly. But the other half of me is like, another refit on something I've already refit like 2-3 times. I mean, come on.
For me personally,
so, yeah, I'm torn. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, for me personally, it's 32 days of refit to swap the specials out and the mortars out for the new ones, and the next raid's in 4 weeks. Yes, I understand I get FM tokens, but now they are literally necessary if I want to do anything else with my time. And I was going to build Conquerors and refit my guard this month, except now I'm not, I guess.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that we're going to need these new ships for the upcoming Forsaken mission, I think I would have given up on them already with the amount of refits that I've done to mine.
Yeah.
I'm mine, and then I'm going to wait for the build that works and use all the monolith tokens and the grid token to build the second the new FM comes out. Then we might get a new mortar by then.
Me? I'm just going to stick with my Zemps.
I'm going to refit mine in the hope that I get them refitted before they change them again. So I can refit them.
That's what I said. We'll have another mortar. We'll have another mortar coming out right after the raid.
No, what's going to happen is 2 days before the raid, they're going to buff the OU again to make it the best after we've all refitted off to these D85Ds.
Well, I've just about finished refitting enough charged armors that I won last raid onto the monos now to make them so they can actually do the raid. So now coming into the third raid in the cycle, my fleet's just about in a position where it can do the raid. But I will probably refit the mortars.
Yeah.
I'll refit the mortars just so they can do it that little bit better, you know, ready for next cycle. Because I imagine next cycle we're going to need like 600 million probably. So
yeah, I mean it's going to be another mega store. So who the hell knows what's going to be available? I mean, probably going to want a lot of stuff. There'll be the charged armors again for likely 200 million, even though with the change in mechanic of the charged armor, it should be about 2.5 million a pop, not 10. But that's another story.
Well, and also bear in mind that the charged armors may be very important for the next raid cycle.
That's true, and the thing is you know the weight makes some of these builds like the build that I'm going to has. I mean, it's maxed out. It's just about maxed out, and you can't. I mean, it's all charged armor. So, but yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting. We also had 3 other prizes this week. Well, we're going to get them next week because we can't get them this week. But one was that the water turret that has the sonar on it. That's
the UTP.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting transformer to put in, especially if you're putting it in line with your channel or something, which might, you know, let you change your guard up a little bit, so that way your guard is not what you're depending on to you know, stop ghost preps and stuff. So that's interesting. It's going to give a nice little depth to base defense, I believe. And then we have in prize pool 5 the muddle missile and the amphibious missile, whatchamacallit, special system thingy mabob. And the muddle missile will be, yeah.
That missile has been causing quite a muddle as well. There's a lot of people
it's going to be.
The special can go out the door. The muddle missile is amazing.
Well, there was an interesting conversation this week that I just managed to catch wind of. But I believe that Kixeye originally intended the muddle missile to be used in conjunction with the likes of, say, Downpour or Deluge. And that's why the special also buffs penetrative damage or range or whatever, I don't know. You know, so,
that special is supposed to have some variety applications, I guess, is the way that you could say it. It's not. It's meant to be used with, a mixed type of thing, and I don't know how that's going to work with the Gluttony, because the Gluttony only has, you know, a few weapon slots. It's not like it has a ton of weapon slots, which, you know, leads me to go: is there something else coming that can use this? I mean, I don't know.
You mean for Sargo's Reaper?
Yeah, no. But
maybe a Scourge submarine for the next assault raid.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to make some interesting depth to the Gluttony. I mean, that Gluttony it's one of those things, man. You got to have it now. It's it's an ouch.
I've still not built mine. I've not even seen a video of them in action, actually. I guess it's something I need to look at, because I've still got all the tokens from the last TLC, and I'll get all the tokens from this TLC, so I'll have enough to put a fleet out, and then some, I imagine. So
I prepped out 2 bases this morning with 3 of them. I got 7 built. I think I got 7 built.
I've got 2 full builds and 2 blanks right now, waiting on the muddles to come out.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess the other interesting thing that's been going on this week is the XP weekend. I've not even tried for the XP weekend because I unfortunately have to work. I didn't have an opportunity to try out the higher end targets, but I know that there was 2 different types of targets. At least I've seen it meant. Was there 2 different types of targets? Was there one for base defense and one for PvP and one for PvE, or am I thinking crazy? Is it just the same old?
It was same as last.
It was the same old, same old. We had the 99 and the 101s. The 101 was
101 is a garrison
current
target.
grade. Yeah, and then the other one was the Reaver, Reaper. I'm not Reaper. Hellwraith targets.
Yeah.
Despite having the Scourge aesthetic on the map, or the garrison aesthetic on the map.
Right. So
that's not confusing.
And then there's the 55s that spawn near the your Dracuranium bases. Those are also Reaver targets.
And how about that reap time, guys? Were they spawning in nice and perfect for you too?
No.
So is everyone ranked? I mean, was it the same old, same old? Did everyone?
Rumor had it that there was a glitch running around, and I wasn't sure what was going on with that.
Let's not
apparently
mention
it's
that.
been fixed. Yeah.
No, it's not. I've just someone just messaged me and just said that that glitch is definitely working because he's sitting at the same target and has been doing it for the same target for some time.
It has come back.
What is the glitch?
Supposedly you could go in and you know how we were having problems during the raid where something would repair itself when you left if you were prepping it.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently that's been happening to these targets as well, and I thought they had fixed it because I hadn't heard anybody say that they've seen it today at all. But I guess Mark knows somebody that's got one still. So
have a look at chat. You might get a hint who it is.
I had found that to be the case yesterday, and didn't know it was glitched actually. And then later on in the day, it stopped doing that, and I took another fleet back in there to check it, and it had been changed back to the old way, so it wasn't reaping itself. So it has come back if it's in existence now.
So, all right, okay.
I've had a couple of people say that they haven't, I haven't seen anybody, and not in my world. Maybe it's a world thing.
Well, I don't know which world you're in, George. You seem to be in a world of your own half the time.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I did actually run a monolith and a grid monolith into a 101 just before the show, with a double salty on, and just let them die in there. I didn't even do anything. I just let them suicide, and it was like 8,000 VXP points, which was just shite. I just couldn't be bothered with that. So,
I did 800k VXP this weekend. I wanted to shoot myself.
Nice. So, any other experiences in VXP? No.
Well, I managed to get my my Zemp fleet practically completely sculled. The only thing that isn't, I think, is the MX Prime, but that's pretty close.
How are you liking it versus you got monos, right? Too?
No, somebody else has monos, I think, but I'm just gonna say, the Ragnarok Heavy Mortar. Holy shit! It is aptly named. It absolutely wrecks things.
If you say that one word we were talking about, I will mute you.
See, and the problem that I'm going to have with this is that fleet is supposed to be third in the list. It should not be competing with the monoliths. It shouldn't even be in the same sentence with them, and they are. But that's a whole nother balance conversation. I don't know if you guys want to get into that.
Well, we are. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say we can expect maybe another buff to the gridiron so it can compete with the Zelos.
Oh, don't say that.
That's a whole nother conversation too. I mean, yeah, the duality countermeasure on the Zealous. I mean, y'all pick a topic.
Well, we're 21 minutes in, and the three things I had to discuss we've hit at the park. So there's 40 minutes of you ranting, George, if you like.
Oh well, I mean, what do you want me to start with? The crazy offers that they got. I mean, me and Brian and I sat down last night and went through some crazy ass math to come up with some.
No, let's
go with that then, George.
Do the offers first. Do the offers first.
Okay.
I think the math might tire us all out before the end.
Well, no, we simplified it down. We simplified it
This
down.
math's
Brian,
easy.
yeah, Brian distilled it to something that's usable by everybody into two equations that gives you context and everything when you're comparing mortar or rocket builds. But anyway, so all right, let's start with the offers. There's been I think 4 offers in the game this week. I've not gotten any of them because I think I have all this crap built, but there was an Ironclad offer, a Tideseeker offer, a Hellwraith offer, and a Cannoneer offer. Pete, I'm going to mute you because you're wrinkling paper in your mic or something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, and you know, the problem that I have with it is I think from a business standpoint, I have an issue with the pricing of it, because these are all hulls that are now past raid time. They're for map chore things to do, and you know, if you want someone to get into the game, I don't want to see him pay $80 for a Hellwraith fleet. I want to see him pay 20. It should be like, you know, crack or candy on the corner street. You know, you get them in, you hook them, and then their engagement later will produce the purchases that you want from a business perspective, right? Like Ironclads, there is no way in hell those things should be $80. I don't care what the build is. I don't give a shit if they're covered in gold. I mean, $80 for an Ironclad fleet with the targets that we have now is ridiculous. That's just no.
And they were never really. They were kind of a flop anyway, weren't they? I mean,
yeah, you know, and then the Hellwraiths are almost halfway through their, you know, their effective timeline. So why not give that? Yeah, no one really uses them. The Tideseekers I could see maybe being like $30. The Hellwraith should be 20. The Ironclad should like 10. You know, and then there's a Cannoneer one that doesn't even include the Harlock Cannoneer, and that's like $120, and that should be like maybe 30, maybe 30. You know, the thing is you want these things to be available to players who do not have them, so that they engage in the game going forward. So you want to make it easy for them to get into the game. You want them, you know, caught up at level where they feel relevant very quickly and are willing to, you know, if they're willing to pay that smaller amount, they're going to pay later on as well. I don't know how many people are going to actually pay. Like, who's going to pay? I want to know how many people bought the $120 Cannoneer fleet. I honestly do. If it's more than like 15 people, I'm going to be shocked. And, you know, while that, yes, might show that might be a whale in the future, I would much rather have like, you know, 20, 30, 40, 100 people buy it at like $20 and have small in-game purchases continuously over the next few months than just 1 or 2, because, you know, if they're that impatient with it, spending that much money, they're going to be impatient and leave as well and get frustrated. So from a business perspective, I don't quite understand the price point. I understand offering them. It's a great idea to offer them. I just don't agree with the price point for the tech and the fleets that they offered.
And can I add one part into that? Guys,
no, y'all talk about it now. I had my rant. You guys talk about it. I want to hear what you guys think.
Guys, please do not buy the Ironclad one for hitting dubs. Really.
Bad build for it?
No, the dubs.
What about
is the Ironclad poorly built for hitting dubs?
Not at the moment.
No, I think he's saying that the dubs themselves will change at some point in what is assumed to be the near future.
Oh, okay.
Because
we don't know that. I mean, and second, you know, articulate that, Nines. Come on, you know better than that. Don't make us guess.
Please do not buy Ironclads to go hit dubs. There is a big possibility they will be changed. Just simply do a Tideseeker and a Harlock or some Hellwraiths and go hit Armadas already.
I mean,
you're not that damn lazy.
I have a problem with the price point, because although I'm sure they have the data to back this up at Kickside, that after someone buys gold or buys a limited time offer the first time, they're much more likely to do it subsequent times if they find that it's a fair offer and good value for the money. And this is neither. Comparable console video games are $60 on today's market. I bought one with all the DLC for $85, and it's, you know, of good quality and engaging and, you know, like a good game. And the $80 that you have to spend here is for something that is, oh, I should finish up with the price point, I guess. $80, when you're trying to get someone in for an initial purchase to get them to make future purchases, the price of the initial purchase is a big thing because it sets the context for how useful other things can be based on the money to, well, I guess the value, the money to usefulness ratio, I guess, which is pretty much value, what people like to talk about. So when you're doing something like this, you want to have it be low so that more people are enticed to buy it. George mentioned that. I'm just trying to put it in a different light. If you make the first purchase too expensive, that's a lot of people that won't buy it that you miss out on. And they'll buy your specific token offers maybe, but you're missing out on people. And sometimes that could be one of their first instances of this game's transaction store. And if the first thing they see is for $80, they're going to think that this is just a game made for whales. And admittedly it is, but I still think they're losing money on that prospect. And with respect to the usefulness of the fleets themselves, there are 4 parts of the game as defined by the PvE classes: Garrison for the FM, Siege for base parts, Assault for titanium now, I guess, and mega hull stuff, and Skirmish for uranium. And within those, there are subclasses of fleets that are better or worse at hitting something. When you're charging so much, you want to make sure it's like really relevant for the game. And the only time I could see that potentially making sense is if you charged more for the FM fleet than you do for the other fleets. This is for base parts, which is a lot of people's third priority, if only because titanium and megaships just didn't pan out and aren't popular despite the massive reduction in barriers to get to them now. So you're paying $80 for uranium, either the best fleet to get the second best thing or the second best fleet to get the third best thing. It's so narrowly used. You're not going to get value out of the $80 because you almost never use the fleet. And by the time you get even maybe halfway through that value, they're obsolete. They're actually obsolete and not mostly obsolete because you designed the ironclads poorly, or designed the targets poorly around the ironclads. So they're not even going to get use out of their $80 investment. What are you doing? Like, who in the marketing department is actually playing any video games ever? Because I don't think anybody is if they're making stuff like this up. It's terrible.
Hear, hear.
Hooray, I said words.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess that these deals, they do serve a purpose for players that missed the Cannoneers, or players that missed, or players that have sort of come into the game and weren't at a level where they could collect those prizes. Maybe they might think that that's a good investment. Me personally, at my end of the game, I think that it's a crazy offer and crazy price. But I bet you there is people out there that have bought them. I bet there is people that have thought, wow, I can finally get myself a fleet of Cannoneers. So click the button,
Right, but that's what I mean. The people that this is geared toward, you want to get in the game. Like, as a company, you want them in the game. And I would think that you want a lower price point to kind of get them in, you know what I mean?
Mm. Get them through the door.
You get them through the door. They get comfortable with the actual, mentality and actually physically buying a purchase in the game. And once that's done, that opens the door to future purchases. So
well, here's a question for you though, right? If they stick to this trend, because the Cannoneer was the top raid haul in the last cycle. So if they stick to this trend, the next raid cycle, they offer a fleet of fully built monoliths. The question is, what build are they going to put on them?
Oh, God, I hate
Negotiator mortars.
Oh, boy. So there's probably judgments, but there's a problem with, the problem overarching in the game is that they don't communicate anything to new players. Like, their tutorials are terrible. It's bad. It's bad on all fronts. They don't explain core game mechanics. So let's say that you're a new player and you've been playing for a month and you see, oh, hey, there's Cannoneers for $120. I'm going to buy that. And you try to use it because everybody tells you to go in the FM. The FM is the most important thing. So you take these into the FM because you don't know any better, because the game doesn't really tell you any better unless you click on the info button, and then you're just sad. But the longer version of this happening is you take your Cannoneers into the FM target and get wrecked, and now you're upset because it can't do the most important thing in the game, and you spent all this money on it. You might consider charging back your credit card and taking your money back and being banned, but accepting it because you don't want to play this game that they sold you something that was useless in an important context.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not useless. I mean, it just has its specific use. There's a specificity to it now that isn't really, like, if you're a new player, that's not that part is not communicated that well. And I mean, maybe it's in the player guides and the forums. I don't know. I haven't gone there in ages. But if they don't go to the TFC, if they don't read any of the blogs, if they don't go to any of the pages, you have a good chance of being a little bit lost if you're coming back to the game or starting the game.
Can you imagine a new player getting hell raced and trying to Armada?
Oh, they're gonna get wrecked.
There'll be a learning scale, but once they see somebody do it.
A learning scale of take back your 10-hour repair fleet and repair it a few times before you get the exact measurement on that angle on the scout sight. Yeah. No.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what we mean by there's a little bit of a disconnect or lack of communication with some of the player base, and I don't know how to correct that. Like, I don't, other than going, hey, come to the pages and read the blogs and go to the forums. I don't know how they could actually cover that in game. Like, how would you go about covering that in game?
Well, you see, there's a lot of like help pages, as we know. I mean, TFC is here basically to help the community. I mean, that's basically what you guys do day in, day out. But on some levels, I think we kind of do part of Kickstarter's job for them, in the respect that, educating the players or teaching players how to do stuff in the game shouldn't really fall on the players to do. It should really be done at their end. But I don't know. I guess that's a different debate in itself. But
how is the question? Because in what medium would they do it? Because unless they redo the tutorials in game.
Well, if I had a gaming company, right? If I owned a gaming company and I was making a game and I was doing weekly changes to that game and weekly, different stuff, I would be employing someone to do that. I would employ someone to make videos and tutorials every week. And when I released a new hole, I would do a video for that hole, probably a 30-minute long video, showing that hole in use and how would you use it and what it's for. If I released something new in a Forsaken mission, I'd be employing someone to make a video to show what that's for. And I know there's some level of part of a gaming experience is learning the game yourself. That's actually part of your player experience, is actually trying something out and enjoying it. But
now look, that used to be true, right? But we've seen right before the last raid that's not true anymore, because as a player, if you come up with something, there's a good chance that it gets countered now. They don't just leave it. You come up with an interesting thing or an interesting way of doing something within the mechanics that they gave you, with the tools that they gave you, and you have there's a chance that they see it and counter it now, which I'm not comfortable with.
There's also a problem of the long repair times and spending multiple months to build a fleet just in general, not even having to refit if a better weapon comes out or things like that. There's not really room for players to learn the game on their own and sort of experiment, because you have to spend so much time building these fleets that you won't have time to, do anything else.
And the game is very technical now. It's not as simple as it used to be. There's so many specials and armors and different setups. I mean, it is a very technical game, and the math behind this game. I mean, you could probably do a 2-year degree on learning Kickstarter math.
I can't make that gesture on this show.
so yeah, I mean, on some level, I think that there is a responsibility from Kickstarter to to supply more information. There's a lack of information, and when stuff comes out, it's kind of just thrown at you and left with you to figure out. And I can see arguments from both sides on whether that's a good or bad thing, but I think generally Kickstarter should be doing more to release information and tutorials and explaining things a little bit more and helping players understand why they're releasing this and what this does. You know, I think that's missing.
Right, but the question is how do they communicate that? Because a lot of players don't go to the forums, a lot of players don't come to the TFC page or anything. They can't use, you know, that medium. I mean, the only thing I can think of is having someone go through and actually do the tutorials again in game, so they have access to it. Because now we have it broke down to, you know, Siege, Assault, Garrison, all that other stuff. All they really need is a couple of different tutorials to show how you use each thing.
But the thing is, I think the reason people don't use the forums and the reason people don't, you know, go to these certain places is because they're not really that useful. Like, if there was a sticky post where stuff like that was happening, I bet you a lot of people would go to it. And yeah, sure, if they could just click a button in game and open up like like some kind of information HUD, and all these different things, videos and stuff would be in there, then I'm sure that would be great. But I imagine in terms of like posting it in a forum or in terms of coding that in a game, it's massively different.
Posting in the forums is theoretically easy. The problem is the forums are full of trolls, even people that are not necessarily players, that are moderators and basically as good of a liaison as people can expect between the company and the players. They will troll and intentionally give wrong information and insult players, so people won't go there. In addition, a lot of times, if an important question is answered or an important piece of information is revealed, it's like 4 pages deep in a thread, and that won't get put up to the front in a sticky post because no one will spend the time to do that.
But if Kickstarter were making the videos themselves or the information themselves, sticking it to the top of the forum, turning off information. I mean, we used to have Swag that used to make videos. He used to do regular videos. And they were very, you know.
He actually does a monthly show for the Mobile War Commando, like with 2 or 3 devs, I think. They do a monthly show at some, like, for their release or whatever the hell it is, but yeah, that's interesting.
If Kickstarter did tutorial videos, I don't know how much I would trust them, because their own knowledge of their own game and its mechanics it's getting worse as more game mechanics are being added, yet more game mechanics are being added constantly.
Exactly. And you remember the last video we got from Kickstarter? Wasn't it them syncing 4 times to kill a raid target? And
oh yeah, that was good old Scourge of 2015.
No, I mean, Doom did a live thing of one of the Hellwraith.
But I mean, we can almost have players that submit videos and Kickstarter puts them in a tutorial. But like you said, George, we submit a video showing something, they will have a chance of basically stomping on our necks for it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lack of information. I think there is. If they did do something like that, it would probably massively benefit the game and also benefit the cushion the blow of releases. You know, but will we ever see it? I don't know. It's something I've been asking for 2 years, and I don't expect to see much change on it soon. So for now, we'll just have to keep doing the videos here at TFC, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not opposed.
Kick-size job for them.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to them, you know, ask if they see a good video and they want to use it. You know, we have videos posted by players all the time. If they see something on there, I mean, I'm not opposed to them asking the player, hey, can we use this and put it in a tutorial? Because it won't be that hard to code a link in game to go to that video. You know what I mean? With a good description on YouTube.
The problem with that is that breaches a lot, because then there's players saying, well, hang on a minute, you're using their video, not mine, and their YouTube channel's monetized, and therefore they're getting, you know, it goes down that whole avenue of
then tell that person
make a better video. Make a better video, put some more information in the video description, do something. I mean, you know, you can't please everybody, but at least it would be an effort, right? And,
yeah,
and they
but
wouldn't have to invest a lot.
I bet there is something there end that says they can't give someone a financial gain and not someone else. Do you know what I mean?
I know other games that have YouTube people helping them out, and they're using their videos, and they're all monetized.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
They put them up on the front pages.
I mean,
when I used to make Vega videos, Vega conflict videos, when I first started playing Vega, I don't play it anymore, but I used to, when it first came out, I was really into it. And they used to take a lot of my videos and put them on the Kickside Vega conflict Facebook page, you know, like the BP1. And I never used to have a problem with it then. So in fact, the CMs used to PM me and say, "Hey, can we use that video?" So I'm sure it's probably something they could still do. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
You know, there's options. I mean, I would like to see some outside the box thinking to try and get the communication started again. I think it would help a lot.
Yeah, I think that videos, if they were to use videos made by players, I feel like that would be cheaper and less of a strain on the developers than having it done in-house.
I think from them, like, I mean, the last video I seen from Kickside, we will move on from the subject ASAP, Mark, they did a video of them doing something with, like, was it a frostbite interceptor or something, and some interceptors, and it was just ridiculous. They were like T16 or something.
Oh yeah, that was a skirt from 2015.
Yeah. And they got a lot of flack for it, and I think they've not done a video since, which is probably why, in all fairness. Okay, we have rattled that subject for a while. What was the other thing? Oh, your math. Some science from
Science.
Right.
That was my paper.
Science.
Yeah. So George called me up, and we had talked for a while about basically equivalent accuracy in splash and spread weapons. And George had commissioned me to create a couple of equations that were, first of all, simple. They're really easy. And that showed how good your mortar coverage was. And the thing is, when you're firing a mortar or a rocket, something with splash and spread, you have a center point of the thing you're targeting, the hitbox of the thing that you're targeting. So like the center of a turret, let's say. And outward from there, there is a circle with radius equal to spread stat divided by 5 where it can land. And it can land anywhere in that circle. And we wanted to make something to show how well you can cover an area, as well as how large of an area that you can cover. And long story short, what we came up with is we have a stat called coverage efficiency, which is how many of your mortars will hit inside the circle. And that turned out to be splash divided by 2/5 of your spread. Because although you'll never see it in game, you're actually supposed to divide that spread by 5 to get the number of actual units. Like spread of 100 actually becomes spread of 20. So with the radius of a land tile on one side, anywhere around that circle is your spread. And we use double that because that's just the radius of the circle. So if you want to cover the whole diameter, diameter is twice the radius. You never thought you'd be using geometry again, but there you go. And the splash is a radius of where from the point the mortar lands to where it
outward
stops dealing damage in terms of a radius.
Yeah. So the first one. Yeah, the first one is essentially what we call it, a coverage efficiency, right? So it essentially should give you a rough idea of the efficiency of your coverage of damage for the mortars that fall. And honestly, like when I got a hold of Brian, I literally had took graph paper from one of my kids and graphed out 3 different mortar builds that I had, and compared it to what I was seeing in game, put it on the graph paper, and I was like, all right, dude, I know that if I get it on graph paper, like, you can do math on it, right? And that started like this 1.5, 2 hour long conversation. And then the second one that we came up with, because the thing is the damage and splash is a linear drop off from center. So the very center gives you 100% damage, and the very edge gives you some percentage depending on the mortar. So what we did, just so you could do it really easy and just get it's a way to compare builds, I guess, is we did a density. What did we call it? Was it density efficiency or damage density efficiency?
Density efficiency is what you have on the right that you just posted.
But we were saying something else. I think we called it damage density efficiency. But what we did was we cut the splash in half, because that way the first half of it is, you know, in a higher damage area, and the second half, you know, continually drops off. So it'll kind of average out sort of in that first half area. And taking that half splash and then doing the same calculation will give you a better idea of how much damage you do within the area of splash. So it'll give you a good comparative.
And one of the things, again, this is meant to be really simple. I wasn't too fond of, there isn't a scaling component. Like after your splash becomes more than 0.4 times your spread, like there's not a whole lot to kind of measure how good that is. There's a density efficiency, which is just halved, but I came up with range as well, just in case. It's your spread divided by 5 plus your splash, and that shows how far out you can deal damage to something. And that kind of helps when we're thinking of tightly grouped targets, like platforms in the 100. They're pretty close knit together versus like executioners around a corner in an 85, where there's really big platforms in the middle of an 85 that are like 50, 60 range long. And you kind of want to build for more splash to do more damage to the end of those. But at the same time, if you keep it tighter, you'll deal more damage to stuff on the inside. And it's a give and take, but it's a good way. Spread over 5 plus splash to help determine, oh, I can deal damage to stuff that far out. That's pretty nice. And you use that with your coverage efficiency, and it's all right. One of the unfortunate things we had to concede.
Did we just
moving
lose him?
in?
We lost you, Brian. Cover that again. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Range or
one of the things you said. Yeah, one of the things that we had to concede was.
Oh yeah, one of the things we had to concede was in a circle. If we're moving along in a single direction, it's not the same amount every time. It's not like a square or a rectangle. You know how much you're moving along with that. With a circle, it's different depending on your spread. It as you're going towards the center of the circle, moving along, it's a wider area as opposed to at the edge of a circle. So we couldn't account for that, and we chose not to. Technically, you could account for that, but even I don't want to do that math right now. So if you want to try, go ahead. You might have to use actual calculus, but I don't think so. So
you come up with a calculation that you can calculate. If you wanted to hit the executioner and splash out the cold snap behind it, you can pretty much use that calculation to see if you've got enough to actually do that, and you basically come up with a mathematical calculation to prove that, basically.
Yeah, to hit it. Or the problem is you have to kind of eyeball ranges because of the isometric projection and how things are kind of tilted to make 2D into 3D into 2D. It's a little hard to figure exactly what range you need. But we tried, and we did our best within an hour, and that's about what we came up with.
Yeah,
so it's something else to use.
Yeah, it's just a good way. I think it's just a good way to take a look at, like, if you're trying to compare two different builds, right? And you plug your information into these, you'll get a rough idea of what you're going to see for performance out of that build.
And I guess it's also going to be a good way to calculate if you're trying to splash out a guard, for example, a guard ship. You can use the same calculation to see if you're going to be able to reach the damage to actually hit that guard ship. Correct?
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, in theory. I mean,
possibly, I suppose.
The two that I have up is you kind of know just from the splash. I mean, you'd have to do one more calculation to figure out your splash coverage overall. That would be easy from this. I think Brian had that. I mean, we did so much math that day. I was like, oh, it got really complicated to the point where I wasn't following it. I was like, all right, dude, this is.
Do you know the way I do it? Do you know when I do it? I build shit. I go out and smash fucking shit out of stuff, and then if it works, it works, and if not, I adjust it.
Yeah, but you're a filthy, filthy coiner.
Yeah, Mark.
But the concept's the same. I look at splash versus obviously spread. I get as much splash as I can. I reduce the spread to about 100, and that's my ballpark figure. The more splash I can get in 100, the happier I am.
And that is, yeah, that is a really good way. That's really simple. That's how a lot of people do it. You just max your splash, and you'll probably try to max your spread as well if you have a really high splash, and things explode. I mean, it works. It's cool. We just put some numbers to it.
Mark, can I ask you a question, Mark?
Go.
Did you enjoy your birthday present?
Man, I was seething. I was freaking seething. I had to go and find some internet connection and log on and just check my base using freaking my mobile phone. I was like, what the chuffing hell?
Yeah, guys, for the record on air, that was actually photoshopped. I didn't really do that to his base. I was tempted to, but
you nearly did. Do you know what you should have done? You should have just photoshopped the flipping that
Man
stupid
of
Man of War. That would have just finished me off. I'd have been down your ass and punched in the nose.
Mark, you kill that thing off once a month, anyways.
Only on Kickstarter's coinage, not mine. I don't even rank it in VXP weekends. It would take the whole weekend just to get it fixed again. So.
I was gonna refit and put it in your base card, but
really.
Yeah, but Liam, you're the only one that could afford that.
Did anyone ever see when I actually used the Man of War in a base card? It was in a Kickstarter test preview, but it actually worked really, really, really well. I think it was when Furies first came out. It was good back then.
I don't think it worked too good against Gluts these days, though.
No.
Gets ass kicked.
Well, guys, we're close. We've got 7 minutes. I need to try and be on time tonight because obviously I have to pick up my ball and chain. But what is there any other topics anyone would like to discuss?
No, build it, go wreck it, try it out. That's what I say.
Explosions, hooray!
Fireballs. That's what I like. Yep.
Is there nothing anyone wants to talk about? We've got
Nuke the state for more, but it's the only way to be sure.
Use the what more?
Nuke the site for more, but it's the only way to be sure.
Oh, right, yeah.
Liam, we could talk about your back left, but we'll keep that until after show.
Yeah, after show. Back left, what do you mean?
I don't.
You won't be here for the back left. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Around.
No, we're good.
Okay, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to end the show there then. I mean, seems we hit all the topics. It's been an interesting show. I apologise if some of the subjects might seem a bit boring to those, but there are people that like their numbers, and we like to cover a bit of everything. So the calculation that Brian and George have come up with, I'm sure they'll be willing to share it in the page and post up in the page. Maybe put it under the video once I pin the video up. But we'll see you on Tuesday's show. I'm not sure what's coming next week, but something tells me it's going to be something bad.
there might be the coat of arms campaign because there's the badge for that in the game now.
Oh, I was hoping for another Odyssey.
There's going to be some changes. I'm sure there's going to be some changes somewhere. So we'll prepare for that, and we will catch you on Tuesday's show live. And for everyone else, have a great weekend. Get your fleets ranked, and we'll see you then. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
everyone.
Good night.